Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a legal tech entrepreneur from New York, USA, Mr. Arnab Dey. Arnab, welcome to the show.
Good evening, Ashutosh. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Arnab is the co-founder and CEO of DocLens.ai, which is a SaaS legal risk technology platform. So, Arnab, before we get into DocLens, tell me a little bit about your own journey in brief.
Sure. My story, I was born in Calcutta, a place for those of you who from your audience, if you don't know, it's a place of music, food, literature, art.
Absolutely.
I was, growing up, I was surrounded by a lot of extended family. So family values, I guess, are very near and dear. My mom was a school teacher. In fact, her mom and her grandmother were also school teacher in an age which was relatively rare. So very early on had the values of education, learning, woman empowerment, all ingrained in me. Growing up, I used to do math and puzzles with my dad. So the love for math, I guess, came from him. After high school, I went to IIT Kharagpur to study computer science. Then went to IIM Ahmedabad in India to get my MBA.
Two of the top schools in our country.
I was very fortunate. Yes, indeed. Just met great people during my education formative years. Came to New York to work at a management consulting company called Mitchell Madison Group. Met my wife along the way in New York. And then started my got involved in the first startup, Inductus, which was formed by a fellow MMGers. I had a great run, scaled up the business in 5 years, did a successful exit. And then for the next 15 years, I spent scaling public companies, first at EXL and then at Capgemini. And at Capgemini, I was executive vice president and I was heading one of the businesses within their financial services North America. During my career, I had the good fortune of spending a lot of time with CXOs at financial services companies, insurance and banks, helping them drive digital transformation. So you getting the best available technology, data, analytics that were available at that time, operationalizing them to drive business outcomes. So that's me.
Amazing, amazing. So now let's talk about DocLens.ai. After such a successful corporate career, what made you become an entrepreneur, and what are you doing at DocLens?
So while I was, I mentioned that I have spent my whole career driving digital transformation. Particularly last 3 years, I got very much involved with intelligent document processing, which is how do you extract information from documents? And you realize financial services is a very paper-intensive industry, particularly insurance. Correct. So the big challenge that our customers faced was how do you extract data from these documents, not just structured data, but unstructured data. How do you make sense and get signals out of it? And across the board. While I was doing that, there's this big problem in the industry, which is about the rising litigation environment. One metric, for example, is that the industry measures is nuclear verdicts, which is how many of these cases got settled for more than $10 million. And that number alone has gone up by 80% in the years 2016 to 2021. So it's a big challenge right now is you have so much great technology. You have great artificial intelligence. You have great advancements in data and analytics. So how do you bring those together and help not just the insurance community, but also, individuals, because rising costs ultimately comes down to rising premiums, and it's a cost on the individual. So how do you really solve this problem? In terms of why entrepreneurship, Ashutosh, look, this is my second stint. Even as a business leader, I was more of a business scaler, a serial business scaler, so to speak. But yes, I felt that this is the right thing for where I am in the career, to go back to ground level and build this up from grounds up.
So, I actually thought your answer may be IIT, IIM. What else was I supposed to do?
No,
become an entrepreneur. But thank you.
There's a lot to be done.
I know.
There's a lot to be done.
I'm sure. But tell me again, are you doing DocLens all by yourself, or do you have any co-founders?
No. I'm very clear right from day one that I needed to surround myself with a great team of people who are smarter than me in multiple dimensions. So there are four of us. I bring the business background and the digital transformation background. Mike, who is my second co-founder, he is a ex-law firm partner. He litigated insurance cases in the Supreme Court, and later on became a claims executive at a leading insurance company. So he brings the legal expertise. The third co-founder is a tech expert. He has 20 plus patents under him. His area of expertise is how to build scalable tech products. So he looks after the product side. And our fourth person is his PhD research area was in the area of natural language processing, some of the transformers that we are using to make these actionable. So the four of us cover the four axes, so to speak, of putting this together.
And, like you said, the fintech space was, or the financial space was full of legal paperwork, etc. The legal profession has even more papers. How is technology changing the legal profession? And while you tell me, talk to me about your products, Contract Lens and Claim Lens.
Okay. So let me start with the first question, which is, how is technology changing legal? Okay. Actually, quite surprisingly, legal has embraced technology, particularly over the last 5 years.
Correct.
Look, legal is in the profession of managing or reducing risks. So it's not, it's very obvious that the adoption will be not the first, right? Especially so proven technology, legal has definitely embraced in three areas. One is legal research. So there's a lot of scouring of the web, getting information from multiple places. There's a ton of that activity. The second activity is contract reviews. So you're talking about many pages of contracts. And so legal has started to use something that's called contract lifecycle management, which is the first step in getting contracts automated and in one place. And the third area is e-discovery, which is around how do you go out and look for relevant information that might be out there for your legal cases. So now back to your second question, Ashutosh. What we are very focused at DocLens on identifying risks, and very focused on taking a look at within insurance companies,
Mm.
what are primarily the 2 or 3 types of documents that that has a lot of that information. So overall, the problem is a $250 billion problem in the US, growing at, if you take social inflation, which is the rise of non-economic inflation, plus the economic inflation, it's growing at 10%. Wow. So you have a $250 billion problem growing at 10%. Contract lens products looks at contracts, vendor contracts. So a leading insurer, InsureCo, has gets into a vendor relationship with a service provider. The top 3 types of risks are, number 1, who are you working for? Who is the third party, fourth party? Are they in the sanctions list? Huge problem. The second problem is, do you have adequate, what is called liability transfer? Like what happens if an event happens, right? If a cybersecurity breach happens, what does the contract say on what your recourse is? And the third big problem is around intellectual property, right? Huge problem, especially in this tech age, especially when everyone is going through the journey of innovation, right? So we have identified 20 odd parameters and using AI to say, okay, what is there in the contract? The other thing we realized is most companies do 5-year contracts, 3 to 5-year contracts.
Right.
Their legal team is pouring a lot of time into the contracts that are getting negotiated. So simple math will tell you that 1 out of 5 over a 5-year period, you're spending a lot of time and energy. But what about the contracts which have been negotiated in the past, right? Do you do annual health checkup, right? You may not have a disease right now, but do you know, are you doing an annual health checkup? So our product Contract Lens is going into these contracts, doing a kind of risk checkup and saying, hey, are there things out there that are blatantly needs attention? Can you wait till the next renewal to correct those risks, or something needs to be done? Right? So I'll give you a simple anecdote. We have a huge training data set of 650,000 contracts. We found out that contracts which are 3 years old don't have adequate personally identifiable information related protections. Right? A lot of energy is going into the contracts now. But what about the contracts that were in 2018, 2019, right? So who's taking a look at that? And there could be similar things. Right? So that's Contract Lens, going back and identifying risk flags in the contracts. The second product, which is Claim Lens. So usually when you buy an insurance policy, if there is an incident that happens, you file a claim, which the insurance company needs to settle. Now, let's say that incident gets into a litigation. So, for example, let's say medical malpractice, huge area, right? Now, what typically happens is you think of in a case 100 plus documents with 500 thousands of pages,
right,
that are coming in. And you have a claims adjuster who is an expert in finding out where the risk is. But he or she may be actually handling 100 cases. So just imagine the pileup of paperwork, figuratively, because now all of these are in faxes, they are in 100 plus files. So the question is, it takes time. Yeah. It takes time to figure out, what is that information, and is there something? Is there a needle in that haystack that you should worry about? So what we have done is, through artificial intelligence, we have our product captures the document at the time the document comes in, scans, scours through it, identifies whether one of the risk flags is there, and alerts the claims adjuster, hey, there's something out there. There is foreign body probably found in the person after the medical operation. And you need to take a look at it right away. Give it to the best lawyer possible right away. And you don't have to wait 30 days or 45 days to be doing that. And using AI, we are cutting down what's known in the industry as, we are reducing claim development cycle, which basically means that you are addressing things quickly. It's good for your policyholder, and it's also good because early capture also in cases prevents legal system abuse or fraud that we know.
Very interesting. You also mentioned that you are handling the litigation risks of DocLens.ai in the event of a wrong interpretation by the platform. What did this mean, and how were you doing it?
Yeah, that's something that we were very paranoid about from day one, right? The whole, it would be an antithesis if the product increases risk in an attempt to reduce risk.
Absolutely.
Right? So there are three things that we are doing. First of all is we went out, and first thing we did was we collected a huge data repository of third-party data. 650,000 plus contracts. We went out for the claims. We got court data. We got advertising data. And we ran our models extensively over a training data set and a testing data set, right? So the first thing we did was need to make sure that go for quality, not quantity.
Right.
Just to give you an example, in contract, we identified 65 parameters of risk. But in our first launch of product 1.0, we are just focused on 20, where accuracy is very high fidelity. Okay. High fidelity models giving highly accurate results, right? So accuracy is key, right? And right now we are doing 100% QA, right? Just to make sure that we are also learning.
Yeah.
The second thing that we did is the operating model. So I think of it as we are building a thermometer. We are not like what thermometer is to the medical profession. Our technology is like that. Our technology in contracts are going to flag cases and make it available to the lawyers, right? And then the lawyer can determine and can catch, even if the model is 99% accurate or 99.5% accurate, right? The lawyer actually gets to looking at it, right? So that way, what you have done is you're bringing cases, but ultimately allowing the lawyer to prune out if there is a bad apple in a basket of 100 apples, right? Very important, right? And the third thing we are doing to make sure that we are working very extensively with the lawyers on our recommendation engine. So, and it's not just that we are flagging the risk, but we are saying what's the next best action.
Correct.
Working very closely with our customers, we are bringing in a list of next best action based on our industry knowledge. But we are working very closely with our customers, general counsels, or the claims heads, and saying, in this case, what is your legal pathway? And how can we make sure that we can put out the best recommendation without and checks and balances as to how inaccuracy doesn't seep in, right? So these three ways of ensuring accurate models, right? Third-party data, and making sure that we are working very tightly with the lawyers on the last mile recommendation are some of the ways in which we are reducing that.
Well said. Arnab, I have time for two more questions. My next question is, how are you differentiating yourself with so many other similar, or maybe there aren't so many other similar platforms?
Ashutosh, that's a great question. So, first of all, one of the things is when we took a look at it, we drew parallels from other industries, other tech products, right? And there are numerous in other industries. And there were 5 themes that came out. So the first one is, look, we are very focused on business outcomes. So what is the risk? How do you define risk? So we came out and built out a proprietary risk score, saying, these are the indicators, and this is the combination of these indicators that result in a high, moderate, low risk, right? Our ambition is to create the FICO for litigation risks, right? So that's number one. Number two is, as I mentioned before, extraction is a key problem. So how do you make sure that we have very scalable technology that are provided by Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platforms, or Azure to create best-in-class extraction? Because the technical problem of extraction is a driver's license extraction technology is different from a plain Word document, right? So you need to make sure that your extract engine can take into account variety of documents. The third thing that we did was build out a third-party data repository. Our clients are skeptical of saying, oh, we have this idea, give me your data, and I'll build a model, because their internal teams can do that. What we are saying is we have a pre-trained data set, and we are bringing in industry solutions right from day one. So you get value from day one. The fourth thing we did, which I mentioned about, ultimately the product needs to be good. You need to have the best-in-class natural language processing models. So we are using some of the latest technology, transformers, BERT in particular, and then we are applying business knowledge to create our own algorithms. So our AI signal hub has a bunch of algorithms which are built on top of scalable NLP, right? And last but not the least, it's an expert-driven business. Expert insights are built into it at every phase of the operating cycle. Mike, who is our lawyer, is essentially driving the thought leadership into making sure that this is a high-fidelity model.
Very interesting. And my last question to you, Arnab, and this is for the many, many people who will listen to our conversation. Based on your own amazing journey as an entrepreneur, as a corporate leader in the tech space, what would you say are 3 lessons or 3 learnings you want our viewers and listeners to take away?
I don't think it's amazing yet, and I don't know whether they are lessons. But I can talk about the 3 guiding North Stars that drive me.
Yeah.
Look, and it goes back to my values inculcated from. So one is hard work. Nothing trumps that. I think Bruce Lee once famously said that it's something like he's an average person with extraordinary practice, or something like that. So that struck a chord. Second is, being intellectually curious. We live in a world of change. Adaptation is key, goes back to Darwin. And intellectual curiosity helps in being adaptive to the change that's around us. And last but not the least, be good. People like working with good people. So make the best attempt at reducing the nastiness and trying to be good, better self, so to speak. So these three things have served me so far. Okay.
Wonderful, wonderful. And on that note, Arnab, and in your own words, your three guiding principles or three North Stars, hard work pays, nothing else. Second, you said was be intellectually curious. It helps to adapt. And third one, which is so interesting and so simple, is be good. Thank you so much for speaking to me about your own journey. Thank you for speaking to me about DocLens, your two products, Contract Lens and Claim Lens. Thank you for speaking to me on how technology is changing the whole legal profession, about how you are differentiating yourself. And to me, I mean, I've learned so many new things from you in our conversation today. Thank you for speaking to me, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much, Ashutosh.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.